Shalom. Well, it looks like this COVID-19 might actually be turning out to be a thing to consider. Reports are showing that it's spreading all over the place. Now, we know that these Gentiles have full spectrum control over the media apparatus and the flow of information. So they can pretty much create a reality that is contrast to reality. They can create another world, if you will, that really only exists in your mind. But beyond that, has no tangible value. This is how they control people. This is how they manipulate people. Now, knowing that this is their track record, we still have to take everything they say with a grain of salt. But that being said, you still should not look at things as being a time of relaxation. When it comes to COVID-19, there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of speculations, there's a lot of conspiracies. One thing I've noticed is that we can't seem to get a straight answer as to where this thing came from the official sources. Of course, the best thing that they give you right now is that it started in a contaminated meat market somewhere in Wuhan, China. Could that be the case? Yes, quite possibly, because those people over there, they have all kind of detestable and unclean animals that they consume. But I would think that if something was to break loose on them, it would have done it probably a while ago, because this is not a practice that they've just now started. They've been doing stuff like this. And if you're going to look at it from the perspective of the Most High just finally getting fed up with the nasty things these people are doing, well, there's a lot of places on this planet that the Most High could be fed up about in regards to that. Here in America is one of them. Quite a few unclean animals we have been conditioned to see as being delicacies. Like one of those, a big lobster or something like that. You want something like that, you're going to pay a lot more money for that than you would for a steak or a whole chicken. And all the while, the lobster is the unclean animal out of the three. So, thinking that this is the wrath of the Most High, it could be. It could be because, as we know, he works through people. He'll even work through these wicked leaders of the world. He'll work through them. They'll think that they're advancing their purposes when in reality they're advancing his. So it very well could be a combination of things in regards to that. But I would say, keeping that in mind, I would think that this is more likely the release of a man-made pathogen, a man-made virus. That's what I'm thinking that this is. A lot of things lead towards that. The location, the fact that Wuhan houses one of China's primary or maybe their only bioweapons lab, where they play around with crap just like this coronavirus, trying to weaponize it, which is insanity on in and of itself, but that's a whole nother topic. Let's see. And And then also the opportunities that a spread of this virus allows certain entities on this planet, entities that have been chopping at the bit to pollute our bodies even more so than they already are. Pollute our bodies in ways that simple digestion of their chemicals and contaminants won't allow. Basically, by sticking a needle into your arm and pumping their pollutants directly into your bloodstream. It opens up a grand opportunity for them. Problem, reaction, solution. So, considering those factors, I would put my money on this being a man-made pandemic that has been intentionally released to further a initiative, to further an agenda. Now, there's a lot of ways that it could do that. One, this can be the reason given, the official reason given for the long predicted collapse of the U.S. economy. This could be the scapegoat. Instead of them just having to admit that the economy collapsed because it was just a Ponzi scheme debt system anyway, and it was inevitable that the show would eventually be over. They'll be able to blame it on the slowdowns and the problems and the lack of confidence in the markets caused by COVID-19. So, COVID-19 could be their little scapegoat, the little cover story to hide the real reason why the economy collapsed. Like I already said, he'll give certain people a reason to, take control of your body and say that it would be in your best interest if you allowed them to pump some unnamed chemicals into your bloodstream. For your own good, of course. It opens the door for that. It opens the door for a cashless society. We know that's another thing that's long been predicted. That is a desired step in the grand agenda to bring about a society where paper money transactions are no longer done. Everything's done electronically. Well, with the scare of this COVID-19 going around and the scare of any form of person-to-person transmission, a lot less people are going to be willing to accept dollar bills from other people. So that will push the need for greater electronic transactions. So it opens the door for that. It opens the door for too many things to believe that this is just some random occurrence. And let's go back to the timing again. I always talk about timing. Here we are, the third month in the new year, and we're dealing with this. It's almost like it was on a timer. Right when 2020 rolled around, boom, coronavirus. So there's a lot of things. What I hit on is just a few of them, but there's a lot of things that would suggest that this is a man-made pandemic. Is it real? Are people really dying? Well, here's the thing about conspiracy theories. I noticed that the conspiracy theory community can be divided into two groups. One that believes everything is smoke and mirrors and theatrics, and that nobody really dies, and that the world is, filled with roses and rainbows and everything. And then there's the other side that accepts that people do die, that people are intentionally killed by these groups that conduct these operations. I'm of the latter. Yes, I do believe that people do die, that people are intentionally killed by their governments, by their ruling elites, by these secret societies, by all the people that make up these elements that are attempting to rule the world as gods incarnate. Yes, they do kill people. And the easiest way to come to that conclusion is to look at wars. When they create these wars, hundreds of thousands, millions of people die in them, undeniably. You can watch war footage to see the result of the things that they create. These people die in these wars. So I have no doubt that they orchestrate events that truly do kill people. 9/11 being one of them. Thousands of people legitimately died on that day. No crisis actors, none of that kind of stuff. Yes, people died. A lot of these mass shootings were probably orchestrated by them as well, which means, yes, they killed those people. These people have gallons, oceans of blood on their hands. So much blood that you could literally drown them all in it. So yes, they do kill people. Even this COVID-19 thing being something that they orchestrated, don't think for one moment that there is not a virus going around that could potentially kill you. Yes, they'll put it out there. They are that kind of creature. They'll put that mess out there and let it kill thousands of people, millions, if it helps further their agenda. Now, when it comes to roaming pandemics like this, I would think that this could be considered a step up. This is a atrocity on top of an atrocity. Because typically with other orchestrated events, they're isolated, if you will. They may be isolated to a particular country, a particular area, like in the case of a war. But now that they're deciding to play around with pandemics, they're deciding to play around with viruses released on the globe, this shows that they have upped the ante. They've released something that can affect everyone on the planet at one time. So I would think maybe that could be indication that we're reaching some kind of a pinnacle, some kind of apex, at which point something has got to give. How that will look, who knows? But once you get to the point where you just basically disregarding borders and basically conducting an assault on the entire human race, I would like to think that that would basically be the final straw. That's what I would like to think. As for protection from COVID, in my other video, I mentioned something that people don't really talk about, though it probably doesn't mean too much either. But I would think that having a strong immune system and having a strong respiratory system would be advantageous. And when it comes to respiratory health, particularly the lining of your respiratory system, vitamin A is the primary vitamin for that. Preform vitamin A, which means that's the kind of vitamin A that's derived from fish liver oil. That's where they get it from. It's animal source, because animal liver is where vitamin A is processed. So if you're going to get vitamin A, because normally our bodies receive vitamin A via the conversion of beta carotene into vitamin A. And beta carotene is found, of course, in like plant food and stuff like that, like, orange colored plants, like vegetables, like carrots, things like that, things with, orange and yellow colored vegetables. And that's normally how the body gets vitamin A. It has to convert it from beta carotene into vitamin A, and this conversion happens in the liver. So when vitamin A in its already formed source is acquired, it's acquired from animal liver. Be it typically, in the case of supplements, it comes from the liver of fish. So it's no different than taking like a fish oil supplement in terms of where it comes from. But yeah, when it comes to vitamin A, the thing is, not everybody's bodies are able to convert beta carotene into vitamin A efficiently. It varies, the rate of conversion from person to person. So that's why I always like to have a source of preformed vitamin A derived from fish liver on hand, so that you can be assured that you're getting enough of it. Taking beta carotene is fine, but you really just don't know how much of that beta carotene your body is able to convert into vitamin A. So the one way to remove all, question about it, mystery about it, is just to take vitamin A in its preformed source. So like I recommend that people do their own research vitamin A, research its role in the respiratory system and everything like that, to see if I'm telling the truth about things like this. So I would say it would be something beneficial to add to the arsenal. Now, pretty much everybody has been talking about antioxidants. Now, the thing about antioxidants is this. It's in the word itself, antioxidant. Basically, what antioxidants are is that free radicals that are produced in your body, and we produce these from basic bodily functions. Just breathing produces free radicals in your bodies. So, strenuous exercise, things like that will increase the levels of free radicals in your body. Antioxidants are basically molecules that will bind to those free radicals and basically neutralize them. Now, I don't know if a virus would be considered a free radical, but I would think that in the case of antioxidants having a beneficial effect on a virus, Really, all you're seeing in that regard is maybe a reduction in symptoms. In that sense, no antioxidant should be considered a preventative measure from getting a virus. The best an antioxidant can possibly do for you is reduce the symptoms of the virus should you get them. Should you get it. That's it. It's not a shield. It's not an immunity. It's not something that's going to help your body not get the virus. It will just possibly help your body get through the ravages of the virus should you acquire it. Just that. Help maybe reduce the severity of the cough. Help maybe reduce the severity of the lung congestion. Help maybe reduce the severity of the fever, but it will not prevent you from getting any of those. Because the only way to prevent that is to not get the virus at all. Now, should we Israelites consider ourselves immune to this virus? Well, that's a very feel-good notion. I'll say that. But I think the way the Most High kind of works about stuff like that, this is that he gives you the means to protect yourself. So if you had, case in point, this is just a hypothetical scenario. Let's say you had a few $100s on hand, and for some reason you had to go up to Home Depot, a few months ago. And for some other reason, you had to pick something up from Home Depot that caused you to have to walk through their section where they keep their respirator masks and things like that. I would say that may have been your sign right there. You had the money. You were led to the location to where you could have gotten what you needed. Did you take it? Did you get it? Or did you continue on walking? See, it's things like that you have to consider. I'm one of those people that you can kind of put in that situation, a similar situation, a person that came into a little amount of wealth not too long ago. Had it not been for that, I would not have been able to purchase the items that I have in preparation for some type of issues with this COVID-19 virus. You see? So it kind of works like it's like a series of events that lead to an occurrence that should be beneficial to you, but still you have to factor in free will. So the Most High will give you the opportunity, he'll give you the tools, but he's not going to hold your hand and make you do it. You see? That's where discernment on our part has to come into play. That's where we have to see the opportunities and tools that have been given to us and then do what we have to. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you'll feel like you don't want to waste your money on stuff like that. You'll feel like, why should I buy $100 worth of food to store up? If this whole thing blows over, I'll just have all this food that, that I don't really want to eat anyway. Who wants to eat a 50-pound bag of rice? Who wants to eat who's going to eat 50-pound bags of beans and stuff like that? So you got to think about it like an investment, or one way to look at it is like insurance. It's something that you spend a good deal of money on, but you hope you never really need it. But if you do need it, it's there. So it's kind of like that. Everybody that's tried storing up on stuff, emergency supplies, they all go through the same thing. They all think the same thing. This money could be better used for something else, but that's the issue right there. It's like, that's where your free will comes to play. Yes, you could use that money on something else, or you could buy those masks. You could buy that bulk brand of beans, bulk brand of dehydrated milk, or whatever, Or you can take that money and go buy yourself, some new clothes or something. So I would bank more on looking at the signs to see what you have access to. What is the Most High opened up for you to allow you to prepare yourself? I would bank more on that than an innate immunity, though an immunity could be there, or maybe not an immunity, but a higher rate of resistance, or even a possibility where we could get sick, but it doesn't kill us, But I think it's better to cover all the bases in regards to that than just, one thing. Lord knows that when it comes to our people in this country, we would be a people that would need some kind of extra defense against this stuff, because when you consider our financial standing as a whole, we just are not the kind of people, we don't have the kind of wealth to prep like these Gentiles do, particularly the Caucasian variety. These people they have the ability to spend tens of thousands of dollars on prepping. They build themselves little bunkers and sheds, and they got the land to do this stuff too. That's the key point right there. You can have the money, but do you have the property? Do you have the land? Do you have the location to even do it? They got, a lot of times these preppers, they may not have that much money, but they have a lot of land. And this is just the blessings that have been placed on them during the whole stint of America. These are the benefits that they have. There's no way we can catch up with that here in this country. This country was created first and foremost with them in mind. So now that this country is reeling, it's on, it looks like it's on its way out. They still have an advantage because they have all that. Most of them, many of them still have that, still have the resources, They still have land. They still have connections. They still have friends that own the businesses, the small businesses and everything like that. They still have that community connection. I saw there was an advertisement for some kind of a prepper retreat where They already have it set up where they've taken in members. It's like a campsite or something, and it's walled off. It's on somebody's property or something like that. Just it's like it'll be like a little compound or something. Something like the David Koresh. They already got that in certain places where they got people who are members to that, and the whole thing is that they pitched in their money together, and if things go to hell, that's where they're all going to bug out to. They're going to go up in there, close the door, close the gates, and man the walls. Anybody try to get close to it, they'll probably shoot you down. So they got stuff like that set up here. And they are the ones with the means to do that. It has nothing to do with the initiative. It has everything to do with the means. What will we look like? One of us look like trying to do something like that. Hell, we'll probably have the damn government breathing down our backs. Those of us that have done anything remotely to that probably have the government breathing down their backs. So, it's admittedly much harder for us to prepare in the way that prepping is done for events like this. Most of us are corralled in these inner cities. Things like that. So it's like, if something goes down, how are you going to escape it? So, if when it comes to the idea of some kind of enhanced immunity or something like that, yeah, we're the people that would truly need something like that. Hell, even with the Hispanics, they could just carry their ass back to Mexico. Yeah. Run back across the border. Where are we going to go? Yeah. Where there's a need, I pray that there is a means, if you will. When it comes to the concept of a vaccine, as you can see, we're just day 3, I believe it is, in COVID-19 gaining national news attention. Yeah, it's only been about 3 days that the mainstream networks have actually started talking about this stuff. And they're already talking about the possibility of a vaccine. Now, this is another, if you ask me, warning light that this is more than likely a man-made event. When it comes to vaccines, things like that take time to develop. Far longer than a few weeks or a month or a couple months. For them to already be talking about the possibility of a vaccine and stuff like that, it's way too fast. Way too fast. So I have to believe that vaccines and vaccinations are part of this. It's part of this whole package. Will it get to the point of mandatory vaccinations where you have to have it or something's going to happen to you? I don't think it'll get like that here in America. Mainly because they have not been able to effectively disarm us. But, that'd be a big mess if they try something here like that here. But I do believe it'll probably be some kind of punishment system. And that punishment system will probably be linked to this whole real ID card that they're talking about doing. The real ID card is is some type of new identification card, national identification card, that, from what I understand, when it gets going, you won't be able to do certain things like fly on airplanes without it. I imagine a COVID-19 vaccination will become mandatory to get this real ID card. So you can see how this could potentially create two separate classes of citizens in this country. Those who are doing everything that their government tells them to do. They're taking their shots and everything, and they got their real ID card, and those who do not do everything their government tells them to do, and they do not have a real ID card. So that's probably as far as mandatory vaccination is concerned. That's probably as far as it'll get. I do believe we'll still have the concept of free will, but what they're going to do is make your defiance be a bit more costly to you. You're gonna miss out on certain things, and it could get to the point to where you'll have to have this real ID card or real ID chip to even just, conduct basic transactions and stuff like that. Like what is said in Revelations. The mark of the beast. It could get to that. But I do believe it's still going to be a choice type situation where, you will have to choose to get it. And if you choose not to, you'll still be able to walk around freely, but you're going to be denied certain privileges. Yeah, so this COVID-19, it opens up a lot of things that to push various agendas that people have been theorizing, have been on the work for a long time, very long time. How does this factor into the Most High's prophecy? Well, just right there with the real ID card that, could factor into Revelations. But I think it's also a test of our conviction of who we're truly willing to place our faith in, or we're willing to place our faith in the word of the Most High, or we're willing to place our faith in the word of man. People have been straddling the fence on this for a long time. So this whole situation could boil down as a way to basically knock us off the fence and force us to choose a side. Those who choose the side of the vaccinations, those who choose the side of the real ID card, they're showing that they're choosing the side of man. Those who choose to resist the vaccinations, those who choose to not have a real ID card, those are the ones that are choosing the side of the Most High. You're showing where your faith is. So that's how all this could play out. It doesn't, really, in the long run, even if we are immune to it, they're still going to force a situation on us where we have to choose. They could know that we're immune to it. They could know that black people in general, or just specifically slave descendant Israelites, are immune to it. It doesn't matter. They wouldn't put us as exempt from their little test, from their little vaccinations, you know, we'd still have to choose which side. I already know which side I'm choosing. Do you know which side you'll choose? Sooner or later, you're going to have to put your money where your mouth is. Shalom.